Hello, everybody. This is the picture we're looking at today. There are quite a few things to talk about first before I do any painting. And I'll use the end of the brush to point. The first thing is back here, there is a fence and a notice. And I think there's a sort of wired fence because this is at a reserve and they are keeping the beasts separate from each other one way and another. So I'm intending to ignore that and pretend this is a piece of jungle. The next thing is to talk about the protagonists. One is this lovely branch here, which belongs to a tree off the picture, which is unusual for me to include, but he's so dramatic, I couldn't miss him out. I think he's gorgeous. Almost a bit Celtic in the way he's twisted. Then, of course, there's the hollow log. It's a very hollow log. It's obviously disintegrating very seriously as it's going along. There's the patch of ground it's sitting on. And then there's all these pebbles and things here and the water. Now, when I did the drawing, I included this part here and this here. And I did this part by turning the picture upside down because it's so much easier to get the lines and angles right. And it's quite important to get that convoluted shape working for you. Then watch that angle there. It's much more shallow than you feel it is. Part of the problem is the direction of that line, which is the bottom of the log, in relation to the direction of that line, which is the top of the log. Not only is the log going away into the distance, it's not a very far distance, it's more dilapidated at this side, and it's behind a hump of grass here, which sticks up a bit. So you have to pay attention with that. Now, the other thing I want to do is to think about the colors, because it's a bit miserable. It was taken in Melbourne in their winter, so the chances of having a lot of sunlight are going to be not going to be there. So you're going to have to get the excitement of the thing from something else. So I'm going to start by choosing some colors which I think are going to make it more interesting. I'm going to use Prussian blue, which is that one. Let's get that. Prussian blue. And I'm going to use purple. And probably raw sienna. So I've got a blue, a red, and a yellow as my basic colors. I'll probably throw in a bit of burnt umber, just as a sort of make weight when I need it. But I don't want to go down the miserable lane if I can possibly avoid it. Right, okay, so we're off. Well, I've done my drawing. I haven't put in the water. I'm not sure I want it. So we'll see how the picture goes. I might chop it off before we get there. I'm going to start by laying in a background wash behind this tree to push this back into the distance and to give me something to work on. There is a sort of edge, to almost like a ha-ha here, with this line here running across here, which will give me good definition if I can include something like that in the picture. So I'll try to produce my so what I'm doing is using Prussian blue. I don't want anything too strong. I think that's about good enough for what I want. More of the Prussian blue. And they're both the same. Right, okay. So I've got this Prussian blue. And I am going to be very careful about going round the branches because the light does catch the top of them in places. And if I just plaster blue all over the whole thing, it's going to be difficult to recover. There's also quite a lot of light and air around here where the sky shows through the greenery. So I think we might deal with that as well. So first, I'm going to start here where it is quite solid. And I've got a curve coming down here. To this line about here. Let's follow the curve round. Comes round here. And it actually follows under here. Maybe tidy that up a little bit. Not too much because branches aren't absolutely straight. There's little knobs and twitches on them. One thing it does is define these twisty bits around here, which is rather nice. And then this some grows under here too. And because I'm working down through the branch, I've got a stop point, so I'm not panicking about having a wet edge that I need to sort out, because the branches, as in the picture last week, do help to define things nicely. Now this doesn't come down absolutely to the log, it comes quite near it. I'm going to go straight over the trees that are in this area here, because I don't think they will be worried if I have a blue background inside them. There's a bit of log there that I need to pay attention to. And this goes over here. I think I can go up to that one there. And again, it's a bit blotchy, but I'm not worried about that because there's trees and all kinds of things to go over it. Just a matter of trying to get the shapes to go nicely. And maybe this one as well. And again, if you do inadvertently cross the line occasionally, it doesn't matter desperately because it all adds to the fun. Maybe straighten that up a little bit. Not too straight, just straight away. There's a sort of tree down here. It's a bit dark, so it's pretty dark in here. Now, as we get higher up, this part is quite dark here. And again, we need to just straighten that up a little bit. This is where it starts to get variegated. So we can suggest broken light here. As we go along. There seem to be sort of droopy bits. These are quite definite shapes down here, and it gets quite intense around here. But I'm trying to leave some gaps for the white paper to show through. Probably won't leave it white, but we'll see how it continues. And over here, it's quite strong as well. We've got this. I will be going over this, so it's basically just informing me really of where things are. Got to keep an eye on what you're trying to do. You're trying to interpret the lines that I've put down. Trying to remember the lines that I've put down. I hope my head wasn't in the way too much there. And then right. As it dries out, I'll put in some darker splodges. Beauty of this is nobody's actually going to look at this bit. It's really window dressing more than anything else. So it doesn't really matter how good or bad it is. You know, if it looks a disaster, don't you worry. We'll be doing something about it anyway. Right. I think that would be fair enough. Now we can go back in there and put in some of the trees that we can see in the background, just to give a little bit of difference. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Right. That's the one I wanted. That's in there. Now I'm going to add just a touch of purple to that to give it a different tone. There's the blue. So just slightly more towards the red. It's moving the Prussian blue towards the red. And we need to think about the various trees we can see in the background here, which have form and shape. So again, you're building Fortuitously, that's beautifully wet, so it's taking some of those marks. We're here, we'll have to go in with a bit of mix in a wetter state. You don't really want those marks to end with a sharp edge. They should disappear into the magic of the background. Now, right here, where are we? That one comes down right here. There's another. And this one is going to help to define this area here. Right. I want these to help define this. So I'm taking a bit of trouble to get the in actual fact, this is actually not a trunk so much as a collection of sticks that come apart from each other as the thing grows up. I've been a bit wild there, but we can do things with that kind. And then this one comes across here. And this leans out well into this area here. So again, we want just a little bit of wetter paint up here. Just to allow the branch to have something to die into when it gets there. Right, that's that one. And then across here, there are various paler ones. I'll just put a bit more water in there. Paler. Yeah. And of course, there are paler ones still. So I've just reduced the paint on the brush a bit there. Another one there. There isn't actually one there, but it's There's going to be one there, so and very often I might want to blur some of these lines a bit, just to suggest that there's leaves on this part here. When we get over here, it's largely just leaves, and they seem to be dropping down. So you can sort of make them appear to drop down. That and the leaves here are, well, there's all kinds of things going on here. I think what I'll do is re-wet this area. It was a bit exuberant with the wet, actually, but still, there we are. So I've re-wet the whole area with supposedly clean water. And I'm just going to drop in colours where I see darker areas over here. Maybe this part is a lot darker down here. Really just a matter of letting the brush have a bit of fun. And if you can do that, it very often is extremely helpful.
10 minutes.
Oh dear. This is not good enough. I want another half hour. So, not getting very far today. I thought I'd make more progress than this. But it's worth taking time to at least put in something in the background here that we could, in fact, turn into something else. I don't want to make it too active because this branch here is what is going to make all the difference. I want to wait until it's drier because I've got one or two ideas of what I want to do with that. So that's going to have to wait. It depends on how much of this that happens here you want to take into your picture. So you don't have to put them all in, you just have to put in enough to make what you're trying to do look reasonably real without taking over the picture. Bear in mind, you are not trying to reproduce this. You are using this as a catalyst for what you do here. And very often, if you find yourself in a tight corner, I'm not saying I'm in a tight corner, but if you do find yourself in a tight corner, if you let it dry, it's amazing what you can do afterwards, just to spark it up a bit. Now, I'm not expecting that to show at all, really, in the finished picture. It will just drift into the background because of all the activity that's going on in here. I've deliberately chosen the purple for the other color because I think it adds a bit more interest and excitement to the shadows. About the only other thing I can do while I'm at it here is to add a little bit of, now this is raw sienna, and I'm just going to cover the whole of the log, including the dark bit, in this you just so that it can dry in time for me to put in whatever I want to do on top of it next week. So that's all that is. If it was dry around here, I'd probably do the same to that bit. Now, where else can we put that colour? Well, we can add it round here, because of the ground round here. And the ground does sweep up that side a bit. You can even go over that green, because that will turn. And it can go over here, because this has got green areas to it. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen there, so I'm not approaching that boundary particularly. So it might be interesting to see what happens if it's wet. Nothing much. Okay, so we bring the yellow down here. I'm just going over the area with a base color that I can use to bring out everything else that I'm doing. Now, I'm not going over the rocks or pebbles, because they are much brighter, I think. But if I can get this color in where I want it to suggest an undercolor for the area I'm painting, I think that is probably as far as I want to go for today.